Right. Joining me in the studio to discuss this, plus more news, IMF revision of Nigeria's GDP, and also whether or not Nigeria is going to issue a Eurobond in 2021, is Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu. Chika, what do you think? Electric vehicles in Nigeria?
Very interesting times. Yeah? Very interesting times. I don't really know whether I should be happy or sad. Because on one hand,
yes,
it's like if we have electric cars now worldwide, that means what happens to a major source of revenue?
Oil.
So even though there are projections worldwide now that in the 2030s, oil for most of the Western world will cease to be a major source of energy.
Yes.
And all of them are moving to renewables. And so it's interesting that this is coming home, and so the other flip side of it is the joke my wife shared with me one time. When we were talking about Metro Line, the underground train, and she said, no, she will never enter it. And because he may enter it on Monday and come out on Friday because NEPA will take lights.
Take lights.
So a major limiting factor to electric cars also is the fact that we don't even have enough electricity in our homes to power our small even lights and air conditioners and stuff like that. What more electric cars and buses and tricycles. But this is where the world is heading. And I'm happy that it's home, that at least as the narrator said, this is one area that is happening abroad and we also can compete here.
Yeah, so
maybe one day here we're also going to have driverless cars. And if our network will not, will not collapse that, and suddenly the car that is going to Ikeja will start going to
somewhere else.
But let's remove the distance. This is a very serious. We'll commend the Sahara Group for this initiative, and it will reduce the carbon emission. And then help making the environment safe, which is a major thing in the world now. And we're even lucky here that I'm told that if you go to places like China sometimes, during the day the whole place is
smog.
And that is unhealthy. It causes cancer and other debilitating diseases. So it's nice that we have had this kind of breakthrough in Nigeria. And they recognize also that the limiting factor, many of them, is availability of electricity. And they produce electricity, they win. They own win. So the resource of electricity, I'm hoping that their own will work. And the larger Nigeria down the line also will work.
Encouraging stuff. Thank you for that, Chika. Okay, IMF revision. Nigeria from 5.4% contraction initially. They've now revised that. That was in June, I believe. And yes, now they've said this is their latest outlook, which we covered here on Arise News. We went live to the IMF economic outlook. What do you make of it? Should we sigh of relief? Do we celebrate it that, okay, it's not as bad as before? Well,
I don't know. It's like I was going to give you 5 slaps before, and and now I say I'll give you 4 slaps.
Okay, your analogies are the best. You have the best.
So I mean, I don't know whether you should rejoice that the slaps are reduced by 1, be that as the case may be. So I mean, negative 6.1 at Q2.
Yes.
We know that Q3. Everybody has agreed that Q3 is going to be negative also. We don't know how it's going to pan out. But the issues at the end of the year, they say it's going to be, it won't be as worse as they predicted. Yes. But you see, inherent there, again, is at the limiting factor, the limitations of using GDP as a measure of social welfare. Of course, the GDP measures the aggregate output, the aggregate economic activity in an economy.
Yes.
But the issue is that the theories will tell you that, therefore, the output approximates, is like production. And production should approximate consumption. And it means that if people are consuming, they should be happy. But it comes with disadvantages or downsides or limitations. What a limitation is, it does not measure social welfare. It doesn't measure the welfare of people. So it doesn't tell you that even though the GDP is going to come from 5 to 4 it is, has impacted the fact that 60% of our Nigerians are either under or unemployed. Has he affected anything by saying that we're no longer the poverty capital of the world? Has he changed the health parameters? The fact that in the world now, between 0 and 5 years, mortality of kids, we're the number 1 in the world. So all the negative parameters, how has this reduction in the negative GDP has impacted that? And so that's the major limitation of GDP. The other limitation is the fact that income distribution. It does not talk about income distribution because the GDP measures, final finished product output, and that output can be a microcosm of the population, and so the larger population can just be in poverty, and you already know that the percentage of Nigerians living below the poverty line. This does not change it. And so GDP is important, the celebrities, but the issue is that has the man on the street, has it affected the welfare of the man on the street? And that has not happened.
Thank you, Chika. Real quick, Zainab Ahmed said that she's unsure, as the Minister of Finance, if Nigeria is going to tap into the Eurobond market. Yes, for 2021. Is that because of the cost of dollar debt?
The cost of dollar debt is that, you see, the advantage of the Eurobond is that they come in and they help us in managing our, making better our FX position and stabilizing the foreign exchange of Nigeria, the exchange rate. That's one of the advantages we have when we have that. But of course, that it increases our debt position, which is in the roof. But the issue is that the dynamics in the market now are not very positive towards that. If you go to the market now, remember there was a flight to safety before, once COVID, on the onset of COVID. And then what will happen now is that the price of the bonds will be very, very, very high. And even the subscriptions may not be as robust as they should be, even though Nigeria is most times oversubscribed. So it's just because of the dynamics of the market and the impact on our debt positions.
Thank you. If I believe one of a corporate is planning on...
First Bank
yes. So what does that... How do you play that? They want to go and do Eurobond. Nigeria is not sure.
Yeah, but the issue is that as a standalone entity, you see, one of the things that happened recently is that a lot of the banks are going to move up, expand their capital base because of the losses that arise in the environment and the increase in the NPLs.
Right.
So a lot of banks and to enable them to take more businesses, they're expanding their capital base. And then a lot of them maybe have also negative FX position. So foreign bonds like that to help them, fill those positions. So that's basically one advantage of that. And then that it counts to Tier 2 capital. The bond I'm looking at is, I think, of 5 years. Now, some of them may have bonds. As the bond tenors are they are maturing, their percentage they count to the capital of the bank reduces. Okay. And so it creates a hole in the compliance ratios of the banks as to capital ratio. And so most of them try to replace it. I'm aware they're not the only bank who are trying to go and replace this bond, the issue new bonds.
Fantastic.
For the Tier 2 capital.
Okay, when you got a minute left, Chika. So that means that, for any of our viewers watching this, the conditions the country is facing that Nigeria is facing are not necessarily the same that the banks are facing, as well as a corporate level and a country level, with regards to Eurobonds.
Yeah, the only power.
Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu, very insightful on the electric cars, the future of Nigeria. Also, the IMF revising Nigeria's 2020 GDP projection from 5.4%, while contraction, that is 5.4 to 4.3, and the outlook for Eurobonds, whether or not the country is going to, go ahead and issue those, and then versus corporates. Chika, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
Always appreciated. You're watching the Global Business Report on Arise News.